Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second part of Jupiter transit in Virgo. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering the nakshatra of Jupiter as it goes in. And this is quite important in transits that I kind of just saw whenever I was reading transits, is that when a planet transits through a certain nakshatra, the transit effect of that planet is going to change a bit. It's going to differ a bit. This is why a planet in a certain zodiac sign will not just give the same results all throughout. No, it will give different results at different point of the zodiac sign. So, like in the last video, I covered, that Jupiter going through the sign of Virgo through each houses and what it's doing. So you can watch that video. I just made it 4 or 5 days ago. But this one, what I'm going to do is it's more of a detailed video in terms of the sign and the nakshatra placement of Jupiter during its transit. I'm not going to be covering the houses. Okay, well, Jupiter in the second house and Virgo and Chitra nakshatra, what's going to do? No. That's going to take too long, man. I ain't got that kind of a time anymore, man. I'm just going to cover the nakshatra, man. That's right. So we're just going to understand Jupiter transiting in this nakshatra. Okay? And remember, this is also different from Jupiter simply being in this nakshatra in your birth chart. That would be different. In transiting, it's going to give a different effect. So let's discuss Jupiter's nakshatra placements during this 1 year transit, which will happen in Virgo starting August of 18th or 16th, all the way till next year for 12-13 months. And as always, if you do not know where Jupiter is placed in your horoscope, what planetary placements you have, what nakshatra your planets are placed in, all the other planetary details, for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological reporting, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects of the Speed of Light, including all my consultations at this link here. So let's get started. So Jupiter is going to enter the first nakshatra of Uttara Phalguni in August, although it'll be before August, because in the sign of Leo transits into the Uttara Phalguni nakshatra, but in Virgo, when it actually comes into the sign of Virgo, that's when it really will empower itself into Uttara Phalguni nakshatra, because Uttara Phalguni nakshatra, I really feel, is a nakshatra that really defines the sign of Virgo. More than Hasta, more than Chitra nakshatra, it is Uttara Phalguni. Because see, Uttara Phalguni is a nakshatra of literally making negotiations happen, making contracts happen, looking at the details to see if you did not miss something in the sentence as a lawyer. Pretty much this is like a nakshatra of lawyers, businessmen, people who are here to make a trade, making negotiations happen. This is also a nakshatra of making marriage commitments. So Jupiter is going to be in this nakshatra as it enters the sign of Virgo. And what happens is the quality of Jupiter in Virgo will be of a teacher who is implementing its quality in practicality. Because now teachers no longer just simply giving a lecture in the royal court. Teachers no longer is in the ashram as it was in Cancer, in Gurukul, giving people lectures, showing people the wisdom of life. Now the universe is asking Jupiter to everything that it has learned in its life full of wisdom, to implement it in a practical manner. And this is where Uttara Phalguni nakshatra comes in. So here in Uttara Phalguni nakshatra, it's kind of like double Virgo. Here Jupiter is going to be very much focused towards using its wisdom to create contracts and business deals happen. Your wisdom and your intelligence, the divine intelligence which Jupiter is going to be used towards making business negotiations happen. Those ideas that you have had in the past 5-10 years, that you're like, well, maybe now I can implement that, maybe now I can implement them. Now is the time when Jupiter wants to implement those ideas. Now is the time when people, majority of the people within their own realm will be like, I want to take on this project and actually do it. So the intelligence, the Jupiter, which is like maneuvering here in the space between your two ears, is now going to use that senses to actually do something physical, practical in this year. Whether it's that idea you had of the website where you wanted to sell this one item online and you've just been like going at it, but you're busy in doing your work and doing your project management work, yet you just never use that intelligence to make it to work. So now Jupiter wants to put it to work. You always had this idea towards wanting to open up a school and teach something to someone. Like you, let's say you're a physicist, okay? And you feel like the educational system is completely shit around the world. Nobody's really teaching the true things anymore. And you're this person who feels like I can be the greatest teacher, but I just don't feel that freedom and opportunity in what I'm doing, and I'm not making that money that I wanted to make. Well, now this Jupiter is like, well, you're going to have to create some business contracts happen. You're going to have to do some sort of like negotiations and put your ideas into practicality. So let's say if this person who's a physicist is like, you know what, I'm going to teach online. I'm going to teach online people about physics that they never thought they could even know about. All the people who are, and the professor who are teaching physics are completely nonsensical. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to teach it. So this is what happens. Like, for example, perfect example actually would be, it's amazing how I just said that example. I don't know, many people should know about Nassim Haramein. Nassim Haramein is an astrophysicist who literally went against the convention of the scientific community. And he gave out so many brilliant calculations, analysis, formulas out there. And now what he does, he teaches them independently in a large conference. I remember when he came to LA, and I was actually at that conference, and literally you had 200 people sitting in the dorm, and he's on the stage talking. And it was like, I think, I remember $60 or $75 per person. So imagine that versus some teacher of physics in university making $40,000, $50,000 a year. This is where Jupiter's practicality, I feel like, is very much needed. Because yes, we discuss our ideas in the Cancer. We're curious about information in Gemini. We feel regal about the knowledge that we attain in Leo. But Virgo is that sign where, okay, now you step into the arena and you put your ideas and your wisdom to practicality and do something practical with it. Do some business-like with it. Try to get some work with it. Put your ideas to work. So Uttara Phalguni nakshatra does that. Then from Uttara Phalguni nakshatra, Jupiter then will come into the nakshatra of Hasta. And Hasta is a very ambitious nakshatra. Hasta is a nakshatra that represents hands, fists. It's a nakshatra that shows work. It shows using your hands to heal people, using your hands to write, using your hands to protect people. And Hasta is a nakshatra of actually a merchant. The guna of the caste of this nakshatra is a merchant. So Jupiter here now in Hasta nakshatra will put its wisdom to work with its hands to become a business person. Jupiter will become very ambitious. Because remember, Jupiter is expansion. Jupiter wants to expand things. In Virgo, it wants to expand your work ethics. It wants to expand your ability to look into details, to work, and to implement your ideas. So in Hasta nakshatra, Jupiter wants to get a hands-on experience on things. And Jupiter becomes this great businessman who loves to motivate others about their own business. Especially in Hasta nakshatra, people will use their hands to put out their wisdom, meaning to write. So many people will feel like when Jupiter transits in the nakshatra of Hasta, like they need to write now and they need to put out their wisdom to the world for other people to read. They're going to use their intelligence and their wisdom to perhaps heal people. So if a lot of people, that are thinking like, well, maybe instead of me being a nurse and making this limited amount of money and being bogged down by everything, I really want to use my hands to heal people, but I want to do it with my freedom and I want to do it with my own time, my own schedule. Well, these are the people then when Jupiter goes into nakshatra, they'll be like, okay, maybe I can go towards holistic healing. Maybe I can get my Ayurveda certification and open up my own Ayurvedic clinic where people will come in and I can heal them. I can, through my knowledge of herbology, my knowledge of Ayurveda, I can have my own business. And then maybe I want to write books on it. And I actually see this in many, many people, especially with the Hasta nakshatra, where they have this potential, where they're in a healthcare field, but they just don't want to see that big potential. So now Jupiter, without me or anybody else showing you, Jupiter will automatically put your ideas to work. And especially in Hasta nakshatra, Jupiter is going to take a hands-on approach to things. Jupiter is going to go out there and just make sure that everything that is supposed to be done is being done. Instead of just guiding it, Jupiter will be there working at it. And this is why Jupiter doesn't really feel comfortable in Hasta. Because like you're telling a teacher, a professor, a guide to go out there and actually put their hands on to doing the work. But the thing is, in this day and age, you got to remember, if the students are building a rocket, all you're saying to the teacher that, look, with your wisdom, show us where this thing go. So then the teacher comes in and says, well, this is where the nuts and the bolts go. This is where this wire goes. And teacher has to use its hands to do that work. So although teacher doesn't like the fact that it has to do this manual work, but the thing is, it's in the realm of its intelligence. You see? So just because you're simply putting in the carpet on the cockpit of the rocket as a PhD professor, but guess what? It's a freaking job on the cockpit of a rocket at NASA or something. So this is why I never feel like you're not supposed to be doing this work. No, you are supposed to be doing this work. So let's say if you're a teacher or an astrologer yourself, and you have to go out there and make your website, and you're like, nobody else is helping you, so now you are trying to make your own website. Well, so what? Do that work. You do that work because you are putting that work at the level of your intelligence. You're not out there making a website for toilet cleaning. You're making a website for your intelligence of higher philosophy. Then Jupiter moves into the nakshatra of Chitra. Here in the Chitra nakshatra, Jupiter will shine as a teacher. Jupiter will shine as a person who will put their work in, and the results of that work will be seen. Because remember, Chitra is that shining jewel. So Jupiter in this nakshatra will help you polish your work, will help you refine your work. Jupiter will finally be able to use its creative side, its intellectual side into doing the work. And especially in the Chitra nakshatra, Jupiter will become very technical with things. Jupiter in this period will also want to beautify things. So if people, especially who are like architects, people who are designers, people who are in the creative field, will feel inspired to do the work, will inspire to take that action so their work can shine. And also in the Chitra nakshatra, Jupiter becomes very technical with hands. So what will happen is, especially if you have been working on something, you will refine it in the Chitra nakshatra. You will make it look beautiful. You will pay attention to all the details, to all the final touches on things. And especially Chitra nakshatra is a nakshatra where Jupiter feels extremely powerful. Because of the fact it's a nakshatra ruled by Mars. And Mars energy tells Jupiter that let's go out there and just finish the work that we have to do. So for starting from Virgo, where now you're putting your actions to work. And then in Hasta nakshatra, you're going deeper with your own hands and making sure that everything is working with your hands-on approach to your work, to your projects. In Chitra nakshatra is where people will start to see that polished work come to life, where they will see that work shine like a jewel. in the Chitra nakshatra. And this is what it's going to be doing in these 3 nakshatra to transit. Although there's a lot more details to these each nakshatra with Jupiter, which we'll discuss when I actually talk about Jupiter through nakshatras. I mean, there's literally like 20 minutes of information just on one nakshatra. But because Jupiter is going to move quickly through this nakshatra, it's just going to be a very raceful thing. It's going to be a very much a quick progression towards these nakshatra. But in the birth nakshatra, Jupiter will do a whole lot more if it's in this nakshatra or any of these Virgo nakshatra in your horoscope. Okay? So guys, this is my analysis of Jupiter through nakshatra for 2016 transit. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your other planetary placements are, my books, consultation reports, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you maybe tomorrow or Saturday. Bye-bye.